You know, the saddest part about being in this room is that I don't have the space to do anything with any of my weapons. Even though I have a shit ton, I can hook the camera stand from here, but I can't. Even if I did have the room to do something with this, none of y'all can see it. So, no demo for today. I know that the rationale behind buying a Mortal Kombat game does not usually include thoughts about the game's story mode. That's typically how fighting games go, regardless of the franchise. But if the story mode doesn't matter, why do you put in all this effort, all the animation, the voice acting, the choreography? The choreography's great, man. I fucking love the choreography. Especially, like, that wushu, mwah, impeccable. But the story from Mortal Kombat 1 has just been lacking. My name is Alexander. I am an author of 7 books, publisher of
Venom.
If I do, this is not my normal thing. But I felt like I had to fit my writing skills in there somewhere. Other than that, I do a bunch of history stuff. My stuff about European history gets views. My stuff about Chinese history does not. But if you enjoy what you see here, or if you check out some of my other stuff and enjoy what you see on those and want to see more from moi, hit the buttons. Do me a favor, hit the buttons. The red one, the blue one, the other blue one. Yeah, the buttons. The first video game I ever played was a Mortal Kombat game. Unfortunately, it was Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, which is infamous for many reasons, but I enjoyed it, and it introduced me to the Mortal Kombat universe as a 6-year-old, which I think out of all the games, that's probably the best one to introduce a 6-year-old to. I also really, really liked the 95 movie. When I was a kid, that was like a big part of my childhood. And even though it's not executed the best in that movie, I've always really liked the tournament story arc. Like, the simple, we're going to fight for Earthrealm through this tournament. This is our last chance. Like, I think that's a solid plot concept, you know? For MK1's story, I thought, oh, they're resetting the timeline. Back to basics. We're going to get a new version of the tournament storyline. This is going to be exciting. That's going to be fun. We get to keep this solid concept and then see it in a new light. The opening starts up. I see Human Raiden and Kung Lao, and they're, just farming cabbages and shit. They're having a time. Then they're recruited to fight in the Mortal Kombat tournament. Liu Kang's a god now. The Liu Kang and Raiden basically just swap places. But, we're seeing all these characters kind of like we're seeing them for the first time. And the way they're doing these character relationships seems interesting. Johnny and Kenshi have this their own like little subplot about Kenshi's sword, and I thought that was a cool setup. Mileena is actually kind of a complicated character this time, and as the story started progressing, my expectations were failed more and more often. The tournament that I was excited to see, the tournament that the entire Mortal Kombat concept is based around, lasts a fourth of the story mode. It is over by chapter 3. I liked the twist of having all the outcomes of MK11's storyline be technically canon, and I liked that Liu Kang and Kitana got to have like a little, they're basically the Mortal Kombat universe just loves to spit in their faces every time they think they're gonna be happy together. But aside from that, everything that came in the latter half after the tournament was done just felt bad. Like, not even conceptually bad. There are a lot of good ideas here, but the execution is just ugh. Mortal Kombat stories in my personal opinion, work best when you have a simple plot line and a simple concept just to explain why everyone's fighting. And then having compelling characters and character relationships to give weight to those fights and to make that the simple plot line more interesting. In the original Mortal Kombat story, these things are Liu Kang and Kitana's romance, Scorpion's vendetta against Bi-Han, the elder Sub-Zero, Johnny Cage and Sonya's romance, Sonya's vendetta against Kano, Liu Kang and Kung Lao's rivalry, and Johnny Cage's arc to become less of an asshole. Not the most original assortment of subplots, but when executed well, I find them very compelling. Because you don't have to have the most like out there idea in the world to make something good. You just have to execute it well. And for the most part, I think that things like the old 95 Mortal Kombat movie do this rather well. In MK1, we have a similar assortment of setups. Human Raiden and Liu Kang are more or less the same character with different wushu styles. So he has a similar relationship with Kung Lao. Johnny and Kenshi have this rivalry over the sword of Kenshi's ancestors, which is actually a really nice touch, in my opinion. Tarkatans are victims of a disease now. I think there's a handy way to not have to deal with metaphors about race in your fighting game story mode. But it also introduces this cool subplot of how Melina has Tarkat and her mother is trying to hide it from the public. The Lin Kuei are good guys, but Bi-Han has a different opinion about how things should be run from his brothers. Can you see this betrayal coming from a mile away? And as I said before, the tournament lasts an hour out of a 3-hour-long story. Chapter 3 of 15. And it's done. The fuck? And the 3 other hours of story we get are Shang Tsung trying to take over the world again, and then getting double-crossed by himself. And actually, there were 2 timelines. Oh wait, there's actually a million billion timelines. And isn't Ninja Mime Johnny Timekeeper so quirky? I wonder what his timeline's like. Actually, even though that part is like really, really dumb with all the infinite timelines fighting each other, it's incredibly stupid. But it's also like kind of funny, so I get if you like that part. I personally wasn't really my thing. Stuff that disappointed me the most, aside from the tournament arc lasting like 20 minutes. First, Reptile. For as cool as the dude looks, all the time he has on screen is just whining about his family like that's supposed to endear him to us. If he only mentioned it once, sure, but every other fucking second he's going, "We must save my family," until he gets sidelined by this chunk in the middle where all the side characters get to show off. Ashra's only there because the writer said she had to be. Then after her chapter, she barely plays a part in it ever again. And then every time someone shows up on screen, we gotta have someone ask, "Hey, who's that?" And then get a 2-minute spiel about all that character's exposition and all their tragic backstory and all their motivations just dumped to us in this fucking, like, chunk of lore that they just assault you with. Like, have you ever heard of the phrase, show don't tell? Like, I appreciate the fact that pretty much everyone, especially everyone involved in the tournament, has their own reasons to be involved in the tournament beyond the writers told me to, but we're fed that information in the worst way possible. I know there are plenty of people who are going to want to defend this by saying, "Oh, but it's cool that we're getting character development for all these underdogs like Reptile, Baraka, and Melina, who never get their own chapters." And I get that. I do. I get that. But these aren't your Baraka, Reptile, and Melina. These are alternate universe versions of these characters. So it's not character development. None of these characters' backstories or struggles in this game existed in previous timelines as far as we know. They are establishing these versions of these characters for the first time. So it's not getting information about them after we've already seen them in action and have gotten to know them. These are exposition dumps the moment we meet them. Also, whoa, what the hell? Sub-Zero joining Shang Tsung's team? Bi-Han is evil? Whoa, guys, I never saw that one coming. After so many years of Bihan just being an undead abomination, this was NetherRealm's chance to actually do something interesting with his character, to give him some kind of redeeming quality. The entire sequence in the temple was only engaging to me because Bihan started going along with Shang Tsung's offer of power, but I wasn't convinced that they would just make Bihan the bad guy again. And instead they were going to have him like pretend to play along to get more information out of Shang Tsung, because that was really easy for him to do. But no, easy way out. Speaking of easy way out, NetherRealm, this was your out. You started fucking with time travel in the last one, and we all know that's a terrible idea. MK1 was supposed to be like your fix, a soft reboot. Do the good old tournament storyline again. Take things back to basics. Avoid the pitfall of infinite timelines and having those crossing be like a common occurrence. I thought that was the whole point of doing this human raid and restart time shit. Now you intend to go forward with not just time travel, but also alternate dimensions. Just from a writing standpoint, it's like you've dug your own grave. You had the chance to fill it back in, but instead, now you're kneeling over it, waiting for someone to come up behind you and fucking... Y'all had a lot of ambition, and I can appreciate that. There are a lot of ideas here, especially after the tournament. Ideas that I can see where they came from. But ultimately, your execution is ass. So I'm gonna lend you a helping hand.
We are Ermac, a collection of souls bound by Quan Chi's magic. We live to obey his commands. Kill them.
I'm not gonna go too deep into this, but if we were to theoretically make like a second draft of the MK1 story, right? I think there'd be several little fixes you could make to elevate the story mode by a significant factor. The first thing to do, if we want to make this story mode a banger, is to make sure everyone has a vested interest in what's going on in the story. For the most part, this Mortal Kombat is good at giving a reason for everyone to be there, right? Everyone has a motive. However, there are some characters in the MK1 roster that play a role that I think have a weaker or practically non-existent reason to be involved with the tournament and the plots in its immediate vicinity. These being Ashra, Havoc, Nitara, Tanya, and Reiko. The worst offender is Ashra because she's a featured character in a part of the story, but has little to no actual stake beyond I must be good and defeat the evil people because... Yeah, it's completely impersonal. That's the issue. Reiko and Nitara are just kind of like expendable minions for the bad guys, so it's kind of whatever. Having them there just to be there to fight is kind of excusable. Except, am I the only one who thinks that, like, no offense to the writers or the voice actor, but like, a lot of Nitara's lines in the story just... What, is she from like smack dab in the middle of Indiana?
I am Megan Fox, and I'm voicing Nitara. She comes from this weird realm. She is a type of vampire creature. She's evil, but she's also good. She's trying to save her people. But I really like her. She's a vampire, which obviously resonates for whatever reason. It's cool to be in the game, you know, because I'm not really just voicing it. It'll be like, she's kind of me. You Outworlders believe yourselves so superior.
And there's a similar thing with Havoc, where he's just kind of there to be a punching bag. Tanya, I would have liked to see differentiated from the other Outworld ladies, specifically in relation to Li Mei and her implied romantic involvement with Melina. Other than them, I think everyone's motives are good enough. It's just important that we get those motives across in a way that doesn't sound like you're just reading the Wikipedia page word for word. As a broad outline, I think you want to have the tournament be put to an end around the 60-ish% mark, like 50-60, instead of chapter 3 of 15. And I think Titan Shang Tsung's reveal is cool enough to work just fine, but that other timeline is the limit of what you want to go to. Maybe like a little bit more beyond that, but you want to keep it to like like, if you can count the number of timelines on your hand, that's as far as you want to go. So I'm going to run through it chapter by chapter to kind of offer a pitch, I guess. And if you guys are a fan of it, I am not going to be I'm not going to make this an actionable thing or any. This is just an outline. So nothing's going to happen if you like it or dislike it. So chapter 1, your fighter is Kung Lao. You can keep it pretty much the exact same. The opening for MK1 story is great. I love it. Some of the dialogue could use a little bit of tweaking, make it a little, just up the quality a little bit. But aside from that, chapter 1, banger. Chapter 2, Johnny Cage. You can pretty much keep it the same as well. Maybe cut down on the bootleg Indiana Jones bits a little bit. Because in my opinion, that ran a little long. But for the most part, excellent. Chapter 3, Kano.
Want to test Australia's best blood sausage?
I'd rather taste your blood, Kano.
Would you settle for me sausage?
This is when I'm going to change stuff up a little bit. One thing I think is worth doing is swapping Ashura, Havoc, and or Nitara out for spots for Sonya Blade and Kano, since those two actually have a reason beyond the defensive Earthrealm to be involved in the tournament. One thing I actually really liked about the new Mortal Kombat movie, which, aside from this, it was terrible, but I love the fact that Kano was drafted to defend Earthrealm, because we know Kano. Kano's a fucking, smug-ass, Aussie, black market criminal, doesn't give a shit about anyone, but he has to save Earthrealm now, I guess. Which is really funny to me. And to hell with this whole, Earthrealm only gives one champion bullshit, alright? Have Raiden get his powers from Chi or something, not this amulet that Liu Kang gives whoever wins the fucking pre-tournament or whatever. During this chapter, the champions of Earthrealm should go to Outworld for the tournament, but not start immediately. Instead, the fights for this chapter should involve some kind of police-related mishap, where someone like Baraka manages to escape custody and finds himself forced to fight Kano. You can extrapolate this to a couple fights, actually, but afterwards, this is where you have Sindel berate Li Mei and introduce Li Mei's personal stakes for the tournament without Liu Kang just saying it.
Li Mei used to lead the Umgadi, the palace guard. It was on her watch that the princess's father was murdered.
You can also include the fight with Reiko, but have it be an unofficial fight for the tournament and just, General Shao trying to, show off. Chapter 4, Kenshi. Have the dinner party scene and let it cook longer. Instead of having Geras tell Liu Kang about Shang Tsung's ascent as a sorcerer, have Shang Tsung show up at the dinner party. Then that evening, you can have the official start of the tournament. Mortal Kombat has always been fast and loose with the structure of the actual tournament, so that doesn't really matter much here. But after the first few fights, you can have everyone go to bed, but have Kenshi get up and wander the hall/courtyard and try to steal Sento back from Johnny, which kind of develops their rivalry with that. And while he's sneaking around, we can get that scene that shows us that Tarkat is a disease and that Melina has it. That can lead into a fight with Kitana, who is attempting to try and protect the secret. Chapter 5, Sonya Blade. Second day of the tournament, have a couple fights with the Outworld champions, including Kitana, because Kitana's replacing Melina. Sonya's here because Jax got abducted again. And she recognizes someone from that incident. Say it's Nitara or some shit. Anyway, she starts a fight and gets disqualified for it. At night, we can have Liu Kang and Geras discuss how Shang Tsung escaped mediocrity and talk about the mysterious benefactor he has. Sonya tries to sneak out and look for Jax that night, and you can give her something like a GPS that Jax has to manually activate and only decides to do so after hearing about the tournament while he's, locked up or some shit. Kenshi and Johnny decide to join her and head to the Tarkatan colony, then to Shang Tsung's lab. Most of the stuff in this section you can keep kind of the same from the original MK1 story, and especially the part where Kenshi gets blinded. Chapter 6, Baraka. Baraka's chapter goes mostly the same as it does in the MK1 storyline, except Sonya manages to rescue Jax, and instead of having Reptile explain his situation, have Shang Tsung bring it up as he's ordering Reptile around, because that's just, the kind of thing Shang Tsung would say, because he's a cruel bastard. Then you head to the Living Forest, catch sight of Quan Chi creating Ermac. Chapter 7, Reptile. Have Reptile's chapter go mostly the same in terms of getting the Earthrealmers back to, but I think there should be more of a thing of like, oh, we don't want anyone to notice that we've been gone, so we need to get there before the sun rises. Maybe you can have a cool, like, I don't know, a timer. I guess all Mortal Kombat rounds already have timers, whatever. Chapter 8, Raiden. Have Raiden and Kung Lao finish the last leg of the tournament, then have it be interrupted by the Earthrealmers returning too late, revealing to Sindel that Liu Kang betrayed her trust. That leads to all the champions of Earthrealm being essentially placed under house arrest, while Liu Kang tries to defend his actions to Sindel, and while General Shao encourages war. Kano, at that point, turns on Liu Kang and the Earthrealmers and sides with Shang Tsung in exchange for his freedom and the promise of money. Chapter 9, Sub-Zero. The three Lin Kuei brothers infiltrate not an Earthrealm fortress, but an Outworld fortress to act on Liu Kang's behalf while he doesn't want to cause any further incident. That chapter goes mostly the way it goes in the original story, but when Sub-Zero starts entertaining Shang Tsung's offer, key difference. He gets his cuffs taken off and instead uses it as an opportunity to attack Shang Tsung. However, he's wounded as a result. Shang Tsung is still trying to animate an army of stone warriors to conquer Earthrealm. That part's mostly the same. Chapter 10, Scorpion. Scorpion's chapter is mostly just Scorpion and Smoke escaping from the fortress, trying to get out in time to save Bi-Han, who, unbeknownst to them, has been cursed to follow Shang Tsung's commands, mind control style. Chapter 11, Li Mei. With negotiations breaking down, Liu Kang attempts to leave for Earthrealm as Shang Tsung and Quan Chi are free to act, but is stopped by Li Mei. However, she changes her tune as General Shao starts to lead a full-on coup d'etat against Sindel. So, fight-wise, this pretty much goes the exact same as it does in the MK1 story. Chapter 12, Mileena. Mileena's chapter is mostly concerned with fighting off Shao's military coup and trying to keep her Tarkat under control. Also, Ermac still is revealed to be Jared, but it's less of a, hey guys, it's me, your dad, I'm back and on your side now. And more of a, he just has Jared's face and can, like, sometimes recognize his daughters. The Earthrealmers join the fight only for Sub-Zero to succumb to Shang Tsung's mind control and turn against his brothers. Mileena fights him off, but it forces her to succumb to her own Tarkat, which forces her to fight and kill her own mother. After that, she runs off, unable to face what she's become. And that's how you get... Is it anti-villain? Maybe, anti-villain, yeah. And have Tanya run off with her. Or you can have Tanya fight until the end, and then afterwards she goes off to look for Mileena. That works too. Chapter 13, Katana. Although she's still beside herself with the loss of her family, she helps the Earthrealmers back through the portal and helps them intercept Shang Tsung's army as he's preparing to invade. They all fight with Shang Tsung's minions, and then during her chapter, it's revealed that Shang Tsung's benefactor is MK11, Titan Shang Tsung. Chapter 14, Smoke. Smoke's chapter is all about fighting evil versions of the other characters from the other timeline and questioning as to whether his brother's betrayal was truly a result of magic or Bi-Han's true feelings, as even after he's freed, Bi-Han picks a fight with Smoke. The point I want to make here is that even though it's not that, oh, Bi-Han should be a good guy, it's that Bi-Han should have some amount of redeemable qualities and do something that is actually, like, makes you like him, but he can still, like, become a villain. And that's how I've had it gone here. Chapter 14, Shang Tsung. His chapter goes mostly the same as he and Raiden try to disrupt Titan Shang Tsung's plan of conquest, or at least that's what they think they're doing. It's revealed by the end of his chapter that the conquest plans were a front, so Shang Tsung could destroy Liu Kang's hourglass. He wants his timeline to be the only one, not to do this, like, weird merging bullshit. I don't... Like, why? It'd just be another version of what you already have. I would get it more if Shang Tsung's pettiness and ego meant he wanted to be the only Titan of time, you know? Chapter 15, Liu Kang. Liu Kang attempts to recover his power as Keeper of Time. He has the Special Forces, Wuxi Academy, Shaolin monks, and what remains of Outworld's loyalist army on his side, so he sticks with that instead of going to other timelines looking for, an infinite number of time titans. However, his pursuit of his power doesn't go through the hourglass. Instead, he has to leave the hourglass alone. Shang Tsung shows up and starts getting to work on destroying it. The recoil from his hourglass being destroyed gives Liu Kang some moments of knowledge of other timelines, so we can get that scene with alternate timeline Katana, but he's brought back to his timeline. He immediately goes back to his hourglass, tries to fight off Shang Tsung, but doesn't get very far until the others from Liu Kang's timeline join the fight. Liu Kang gets into a 1v1 with Shang Tsung, but is on the losing end thanks to not having so much experience with his powers as Shang Tsung does. But Katana from other timeline jumps in to intervene and briefly help Liu Kang for like the actual fight 1v1. She's the cameo character, and helps him beat Shang Tsung before having to return to her own timeline. So timelines can cross into each other, but aside from Liu Kang and Shang Tsung's timelines, it's very limited for how long you can stay there. If you want to, you can include a chapter 16 with the dumb pick who you want and fight a bunch of characters mashed together thing. It's funny, but I think it really takes away from the overall tone of the story as at least being semi-serious. It also does the whole every timeline is now available thing and completely just makes the point of the soft reboot pointless. I chose to have Katana able to intervene for only a short time, so crossing timelines doesn't become a normal commonplace thing. But after Liu Kang or after this chapter, you get an epilogue that's pretty similar to the OG ending, except Sub-Zero's kind of an anti-villain. Melina and Tanya are sympathetic villains. Shao Kahn is now Shao Kahn because his coup actually worked out. The Elder Gods are enforcing Shao Kahn's rule. But also the Mortal Kombat tournament is now about the fate of Earthrealm and other realms, not just a ceremony. Because that was another big thing I had about the tournament, is that it wasn't for the fate of Earthrealm. There was some vague threat of Outworld's militant factions might get more emboldened. But it's it's not really, Earthrealm isn't really at stake here, or at least I didn't feel that way. Anyway, that's my outline for a redrafted vision for the Mortal Kombat 1 storyline. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen here. If you do and you want to see, I'm probably going to do more stuff like this because I got to fit my writing abilities into this channel somehow. But I do this. I do history stuff if you're interested in that. I do some martial arts stuff because I know if you play Mortal Kombat, you probably find martial arts a little cool. And yeah, just hit the buttons for the algorithm, do all that shit. It'd be much appreciated. Yeah. Bye.
It has begun! You can't run from me, Shang! I don't need to run.